Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have hired former CIA agents with a proven track record of lying to the public, gaslighting the public.
Legal war against Justin Baldoni, and the hypocrisy is off the charts. She actually brought in a high-profile ex-CIA operative to clean up her mess. And we all know these agents specialize in twisting the truth to fit their agenda. But no matter how many smoke and mirrors her government-backed PR strategist throws up, there's one thing she can't escape. Brian Fredman is waiting for her in court, and he's not playing games.
Breaking news, Justin Baldoni just got a big win, meaning Blake Lively got a big loss. Are her lawyers dumb? Like, what's happening? Why do they keep making these mistakes and fumbling the ball like this?
Blake Lively's legal battle against Justin Baldoni has officially gone from serious to downright humiliating. What started as a lawsuit has turned into a full-blown PR disaster, and the worst part, she's doing it to herself. The woman who once had America wrapped around her finger is now flailing, desperately throwing legal tantrums, hoping something, anything, will stick to Baldoni. But here's the brutal truth. Nothing is working.
I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this in public?
Blake isn't just losing. She's crashing and burning in front of the entire world. The more she fights, the more she exposes herself as a manipulative, entitled Hollywood actress who thought she could weaponize the legal system for personal revenge. But reality just hit her like a freight train.
You're a despicable and a massive hypocrite.
And now, the ultimate humiliation, Judge Louis Lyman just slammed her legal team with a ruling so brutal it left them reeling.
There's a lot of this sort of like Blake complaining that they're evading the privacy, they're doing all this, but then meanwhile, right, she's on Sara Night Live with Ryan making jokes, hitting back. I mean, is it not a little hypocritical? Is this a bad look of her if she's trying to tell the courts that we should stop talking about this in public?
The latest court ruling wasn't just a loss for Blake Lively. It was a full-blown legal roast session. Her lawyers stormed in, demanding that Justin Baldoni's entire existence be put under a microscope. Every phone call, every text, every location he's been in since 2022. They wanted it all, as if Baldoni's daily routine held the key to some Hollywood conspiracy.
Team Blake was trying to basically ask for like 2.5 years worth of cell phone records, everything, location, all this data, which felt very evasive.
Yes, you heard that right, 2022. Even though Lively herself claimed his so-called retaliation only started in August 2020. So, is time travel now part of her legal strategy? Make it make sense. This subpoena wasn't just aggressive, it was completely absurd. Lively's team actually demanded that Baldoni's phone company hand over every single call log, text, and GPS ping for over 2 years.
They basically said, listen, it's ridiculous that you're asking for all this stuff because you're asking for 2.5 years, but you claim the retaliation started in August of this summer.
And it didn't stop there. They also wanted records from PR experts, top executives, and, get this, even Baldoni's own doctor. That's right, his doctor, because apparently his annual checkups must contain some kind of top-secret, career-destroying evidence against Blake Lively.
Yes, Baldoni, you're right. We have squashed the subpoena. The reach was too big, and therefore they agreed that the ruling, they squashed the extent to seek the phone records of Wayfair. The ruling is without prejudice. Live parties, several modified subpoena.
Judge Louis Lyman took one look at this mess, let out a deep sigh, and completely shut it down. He ruled that Lively's request was overly intrusive, wildly disproportionate, and, let's be real, borderline ridiculous. In legal terms, that's basically the equivalent of saying, what are you even doing?
They went and met her and they said they were going to get rid of the request to the extent it said all documents related to blank, and they just wanted the phone records. And the court said no. The court said that could include therapists, doctors, friends, colleagues, business people. It's way too broad.
Lively's team walked in thinking they'd score a massive win, but instead, they walked out looking like complete amateurs. Even legal expert Greg Doucette couldn't believe what he was seeing. He flat out called it a swing and a miss, which is just the polite way of saying, Blake, you just humiliated yourself.
And so what he did is he sent him back to the drawing board and said, you gotta go meet and confer again. You could serve a more narrowly tailored subpoena, but you haven't done it here.
Let's be real. Blake Lively's legal team is in absolute shambles. They're fumbling harder than a toddler taking their first steps. She's out here claiming that Baldoni started a smear campaign in 2024, yet demanding his records from 2022. Even the judge couldn't ignore the contradiction. He basically called out how completely nonsensical her case is. When your lawsuit has timeline errors this obvious, you deserve every L that comes your way.
Is this truly a win for Justin and a loss for Blake?
Absolutely a win for Justin, and you're absolutely right, Andy, in your interpretation of the document. What they said is basically, they told you to go, you have to go meet and confer and see even come up with more narrow requests.
He's right there. He's absolutely right there. They are trying to keep some evidence out of the public eye.
But of course, Blake wasn't about to take this massive legal defeat quietly. Instead of, hiring better lawyers or actually proving her case, she did what every desperate Hollywood starlet does when they're backed into a corner. She called in a government-trained propagandist to clean up her mess. He's right there, absolutely right. They are trying to keep some evidence out of the public eye, yes. Let's talk about Nick Shapiro, the former CIA deputy chief of staff who has somehow magically transformed into a crisis PR expert. Because when things start spiraling out of control, what do? You call in a guy who was literally trained in psychological warfare and government-level media manipulation. Nothing screams, "I'm innocent," like hiring a man whose entire job was controlling narratives and covering up scandals. First and foremost, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have hired former CIA agents with a proven track record of lying to and gaslighting the public. And Nick Shapiro? He's not just some run-of-the-mill PR guy. This man worked directly under John Brennan, the former CIA director, and played a key role in intelligence-backed media control. And if that wasn't shady enough, he was one of the 51 intelligence officials who falsely claimed in 2020 that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation. Yeah, he literally lied to the world to protect a political figure, and now he's supposed to make Blake Lively look like a victim? Good luck with that. She's quietly working with Nick Shapiro, the CIA's former deputy chief of staff and senior advisor to John Brennan. This guy isn't just high up, he's as high as you can get. But let's be real, Blake didn't hire Shapiro because she needed PR help. She hired him to twist the narrative, silence journalists, and bury negative press, because that's exactly what he does. His entire career is built on controlling media stories and manipulating public perception. This isn't some innocent PR move. This is a full-scale cover-up. They just take people out, smear them, destroy their reputations, simply because they don't like them. Or worse, because their powerful clients don't like them. But the real question is, who are they doing this on behalf of? Blake Lively knows her case is crumbling, and instead of accepting reality, she's doubling down on deception. She's not focused on proving her innocence. She's hiring a former government intelligence officer to manipulate the media and make sure the public doesn't catch on to the fact that she's losing. And let's not pretend this wasn't orchestrated. Blake and Ryan Reynolds, who 100% fed this story to Megan Twohey of the New York Times, have now brought in a top CIA guy for crisis PR. So, what exactly is he doing for them? Candace Owens absolutely destroyed Lively's pathetic attempt at damage control. She called it like it is. Nick Shapiro isn't just a PR agent. He's a government propagandist. That's the real reason Blake hired him. Not to help her case, but to control the media spin. And the funniest part? It's completely backfiring. Even Variety ran with this insane headline. Blake Lively hires CIA alum for crisis PR in legal battle with Justin Baldoni. Like, they're not even sugarcoating it. Hollywood is watching this unfold, and the public is turning on Lively faster than she ever expected. Every failed legal move makes her look even guiltier. I mean, that first subpoena, as you pointed out on our prior show, was insane. It asked for everything under the sun. It was never going to be granted in full. I'm shocked they didn't back off and try to narrow it down from the start. Blake Lively thought she was playing chess, but at this point she's barely even playing checkers. Hiring Nick Shapiro? A desperate move that only made her look worse. Failing to get Baldoni's phone records? Proof that she has no solid evidence? Her legal team getting roasted in court? More confirmation that she's grasping at straws. The judge even pointed out, if the retaliation started in August, then why are you demanding 2.5 years of records? It was nice to see the court call out the blatant overreach. And let's not forget, this legal mess isn't just about one lawsuit. Baldoni is suing Lively and Ryan Reynolds for $400 million over defamation and extortion, while the New York Times is facing a $250 million lawsuit for publishing a hit piece. That was almost certainly spoon-fed to them by Blake's team. She played dirty, and now it's all coming back to haunt her. Is anyone else seeing the gaslighting from Blake and Ryan? They keep trying to rewrite history, pretending things we saw with our own eyes just never happened. And now, thanks to Judge Lyman, tearing her subpoena request to shreds, Baldoni's case against her is looking stronger than ever. This entire mess started because Blake thought she could destroy Baldoni's career. But now, she's the one whose career might not survive this. Remember, a massive part of the CIA's job, their most important job, is controlling public perception. They don't just react to crises, they manufacture them. Blake Lively's hypocrisy is off the charts. Back in 2020, she mocked Justin Baldoni for hiring crisis PR ahead of his film's release, acting like he was just another desperate celeb trying to salvage his image. Fast forward to 2024, and what does she do? She hires a literal CIA-trained propagandist. You can't make this up. She ridiculed Baldoni for media management, then turned around and brought in a deep state government asset to control her own narrative. She actually believes this is okay. Like, as women, we can just lie, cheat, and manipulate our way to the top? That's seriously disturbing. Blake thought no one would catch on, but the internet never forgets, and neither does the public. She dragged Baldoni for trying to protect his reputation, yet now she's begging her Hollywood friends for sympathy and feeding hit pieces to the media. And let's talk about how desperate she and Ryan Reynolds look. These two actually went on SNL and turned the lawsuit into a joke, because apparently, when you're losing in court, you just make it a comedy skit. She's up there with Ryan, laughing it off on Saturday Night Live. But isn't that hypocritical? She's literally telling the courts Baldoni shouldn't be allowed to speak publicly about this case. But here's the problem. You can't be the victim and the bully at the same time. Lively is demanding Baldoni stay silent, acting like it's unfair for him to speak out. Yet she's weaponizing her Hollywood network to push the poor Blake narrative through her media connections. What kind of clown logic is that? Blake Lively is caught in old footage, admitting that her real goal is to take control of movies and deceive directors. She thought hiring Nick Shapiro would be a power move, but it completely backfired. Instead of looking like a victim, she now looks like someone desperately trying to orchestrate a cover-up. Because let's be real, if you have nothing to hide, why do you need a CIA operative running your PR? Baldoni? He hired a normal crisis PR consultant. You know, someone who actually works in Hollywood. Blake? She brought in a government propaganda specialist. The overkill is embarrassing, because that's what she's told people in interviews, how she's always struggling for equality and how hard it is for her as a woman in Hollywood. And guess what? No one's buying it. The more she twists the narrative, the more obvious it is that she's fake and manipulative. She's not some woman fighting for justice. She's someone trying to destroy a man's career because he dared to push back. The hypocrisy is too blatant to ignore, and it's obliterating what little credibility she had left. I didn't just want to be an actor, I wanted more authorship, more control. Meanwhile, Baldoni isn't just defending himself, he's firing, back with a $400 million lawsuit. And he's not playing around. He's suing both Blake and Ryan Reynolds for defamation and extortion, because this whole thing reeks of a Hollywood power play gone horribly wrong. His claim? That Lively falsely accused him of sexual harassment to destroy his career, and now he's demanding massive damages for the career destruction and emotional distress she caused. And let's be real, Lively's case is embarrassingly weak. She claims Baldoni launched a smear campaign against her in August 2024. But when she tried to subpoena his phone records to prove it, the judge shut her down instantly. Why? Because she had zero evidence. The judge just slapped down their psychotic demand for 2.5 years worth of Baldoni's messages, location data, everything. We all knew this was going to happen. Blake Lively thought she was playing 4D chess, but at this point, she's barely playing checkers. Judge Lewis Lyman didn't just deny Blake Lively's subpoenas, he exposed just how flimsy her entire argument is. He basically said, if this so-called smear campaign against you didn't start until August 2020, then why are you demanding Baldoni's phone records from 2022? The woman can't even keep her own timeline straight. And when the judge himself is questioning the logic of your case, you've already lost. But this ruling wasn't just a loss. It was a disaster for Lively. The court is finally seeing what Baldoni has been saying all along. This isn't about justice. It's about revenge. The subpoena denials prove she has no actual case, and instead of producing real evidence, she's been digging for dirt with ridiculous legal demands. The judge just made it crystal clear she's not getting away with it. Blake Lively just asked the judge for a stronger protective order to keep Baldoni's lawsuit details private after receiving violent messages. Looks like she's desperately trying to keep evidence out of public view. And if she loses, she's in deep, deep trouble. She could be on the hook for millions in legal fees and damages. Let's be honest, Hollywood isn't going to keep protecting her if she loses a $400 million lawsuit. Taylor Swift has now been dragged into this, thanks to Blake, and it completely backfired. Lively's allies are starting to distance themselves, and now she wants the case details hidden? No, the public deserves to know the truth, but the lawsuits don't stop there. This entire case exploded into one of the biggest PR disasters in Hollywood. And guess who's caught in the middle? The New York Times. Lively needed a major news outlet to push her victim narrative, so enter Megan Tuohy, the so-called journalist who published a hit piece against Baldoni without a shred of verified evidence. And just like that, the New York Times is now facing a $250 million libel lawsuit. And here's the real kicker. Leaked audio from WME CEO Ari Emanuel just blew the lid off Hollywood's corruption. This guy controls some of the biggest names in the industry, and in this leaked recording, he flat out confirmed what Baldoni suspected all along. Ryan Reynolds pressured WME to drop Baldoni. Boom. Lively's entire strategy is collapsing, and Hollywood is finally starting to wake up. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are playing Hollywood's dirtiest game, blacklisting Justin Baldoni while pretending to be the victims. They're using their industry power to sabotage Baldoni's career behind closed doors while publicly acting like they're just fighting for justice. And now, they're getting exposed in real time. Jed Wallace wasn't even a party to the lawsuit, but now Blake has access to his messages for 4 months to see if calls took place. And of course they did, because she hired him. Lively has pulled every trick in the book, weaponizing the media to smear Baldoni, hiring a CIA-linked PR expert to control the narrative, trying to use the courts to dig into Baldoni's private life, pressuring Hollywood executives to blacklist him anyway. Ryan Reynolds went in and demanded Baldoni be dropped from WME, and the CEO, Ari Emanuel, just admitted he made it happen, because he's ride or die for Reynolds. Candace Owens didn't hold back either. She called out the entire shady operation, saying this proves that Lively and Reynolds are playing dirty behind the scenes. And she's right. These are people who have been in the business for decades without bad press. So are we really supposed to believe Baldoni is suddenly the villain here? Lively's entire strategy is backfiring. Her subpoenas? Rejected. Her PR stunt with Nick Shapiro? Blown up in her face. Her legal case? Crumbling. And now, Baldoni's lawsuits are looking stronger than ever. Blake Lively set out to destroy Baldoni's career, but she just might have ended her own. That's my brother from another mother, and you're messing with my cousin, and I'm pregnant. This should have been a career-defining moment for both stars. Instead, it ends with us turned into one of the biggest Hollywood feuds in years. A legal circus filled with PR disasters, lawsuits, and public betrayals. And the irony? The movie was a massive success anyway, grossing $351 million worldwide on just a $25 million budget. This was supposed to be a win for everyone, but thanks to Blake Lively's power plays, she might be the only one who loses. Blake Lively had everything: a box office hit, a Hollywood power couple image, and a massive platform. But instead of basking in success, she torched it all. They're trying to claim confidentiality because it's an SH case, but really they just want total control over the narrative. Lively didn't stop at suing Baldoni. She dragged her own husband, Hollywood executives, and the media into her personal revenge mission. Classic self-sabotage. This is a terrible look for Blake and Ryan, but they act like they're too rich, too powerful, and too connected to ever face consequences. And the chaos was impossible to hide. Lively and Baldoni couldn't even fake getting along for the cameras. Red carpets? Canceled? Joint interviews? Avoided PR insiders saw the disaster coming. When two co-stars refuse to be in the same room, you don't need a press release to know something is wrong. Lively wasn't just difficult, she was gearing up for war. Are you nuts? You made this public, so now Justin has every right to fight back publicly. And now, Ryan Reynolds is caught in the mess too. Hollywood is all about optics, and Reynolds' reputation is now tangled in Lively's legal nightmare. Executives hate scandals that spill into the press. And with the industry watching this lawsuit unfold, Lively's future is in question. Would you cast someone who sues their co-stars and hires CIA-linked PR operatives to spin the story? Probably not. Lively and Reynolds hired him because he lies without flinching. He will gaslight the public and protect his clients at all costs. At this point, the only thing keeping Lively relevant is the lawsuit itself. But here's the problem. She's losing, badly. Her subpoenas failed, her PR spin collapsed, and her credibility is in free fall. But knowing how desperate she is, expect another round of legal stunts. Even after Judge Lyman tore apart her case, don't be surprised if she tries again, grasping for anything that can be twisted into a gotcha moment. And when that fails, she'll have nowhere left to hide. Blake Lively's hypocrisy just backfired, big time. Can we just hold on? Blake, you leaked his private text to the New York Times before even filing an official lawsuit. That's despicable and beyond hypocritical. But here's the real problem. Baldoni's $400 million lawsuit isn't just moving forward, it's getting stronger by the day. If Lively loses, she's in serious financial trouble. And let's be honest, she's no self-made billionaire. The moment Baldoni wins, it's game over. You defamed him, you published the complaint to the media, before filing, and now you want privacy? Are you nuts? From the second she brought in Nick Shapiro, the CIA-linked PR fixer, she torpedoed her own case. You don't hire an intelligence operative unless you've got something to hide. Instead of looking sympathetic, she now looks like a manipulative actress caught trying to control the media. So you get to defend yourself publicly, but when the truth doesn't work in your favor, suddenly it's private? That's not how this works. And the biggest twist? Taylor Swift might get dragged into this mess next. Yes, Taylor Swift, the biggest pop star on the planet. If Baldoni subpoenas Swift, this case will explode far beyond Hollywood. I think Swift is getting subpoenaed. Anyone who had PR conversations, anyone who spoke to Baldoni or Lively about this, is now fair game. Lively and Swift are close friends. If they texted about the lawsuit, those messages could be exposed. And suddenly, this case isn't just a Hollywood scandal anymore. It's a cultural firestorm. Blake Lively's legal strategy just blew up. In her face, let's be clear, Blake Lively destroyed her own case. This wasn't Baldoni outplaying her. She outplayed herself. Her legal strategy? A total disaster. Judge Lyman humiliated her lawyers in court, making it crystal clear her subpoenas were absurd. Her case was legally unsound. She tried to invade Baldoni's privacy and failed miserably. And now you're complaining about privacy? You were on SNL letting your husband mock this entire thing. Yeah, there's something going on. Her PR strategy? Even worse. She hired a CIA-linked crisis manager, thinking she could control the media. Huge mistake. Now, she looks guilty as hell, and meanwhile, Baldoni is stacking legal wins. His $400 million lawsuit against Lively and Reynolds? Strong. His $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times? Moving forward. The judge just shut down Lively's weak legal arguments. She thought she could bully her way through the system, but it's all falling apart. And Hollywood? The power players who once had her back? Yeah, they're quietly walking away. Nobody wants to stand next to a sinking ship. Blake Lively wanted to take down Justin Baldoni. Instead, she took down herself. Hit subscribe, because her downfall is just getting started.